ולאי לאי 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 ולדרה ירב לו ידידותך מנופת צוף לאי 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 בחולתה.
Continue page 11, Lechu Niranana.
Lechu Niranana, Lechu Niranana, Lechu Lechu Niranana Adonai. Lechu Niranana, Lechu Niranana, Lechu Lechu Niranana Adonai. Naria, Naria, לצור אישנו, מקדמה פניו ותודה. נריה, נריה, לצור אישנו, בשמירו נריה לו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו לכו נרננה לאדוני. Bottom of page 12.
40 שנה קוד בדור, ואומרם תוהה לבבהם, והם לידעו דרכי, אשר נשבעתי ועל פי, אם יבואון אל מנוחתי. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בזרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו.
ספרו בגויים כבודו.
We continue page 14, Yismechu Hashamayim.
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו. ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו. ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו. ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו.
Let us turn to page 18, Zamru Ladonai.
זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה, בחצוצרות וכל שופר. הריעו לפני המלך אדוני. זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה, בחצוצרות וכל שופר. הריעו לפני המלך אדוני. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה. נהרות עמך וכב יחד ירננו. לפני אדוני כי בא לשפוט הארץ. ישפוט תבל ימים ומישרים. הירם הים ומלון, תבל ויושבי בה. נהרות עמך וכף יחד, הרים ירננו.
We continue together on page 20, Romemu.
Nay, 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 ya da 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 Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'har kodesho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'har kodesho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'har kodesho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'har kodesho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu.
Let us please rise. We turn to page 21 for Mizmor LeDavid.
Mizmor LeDavid, Havu Adonai b'nelim, Havu Adonai kavod v'oz. Ay, Havu Adonai kevod shemo yishtachavu Adonai b'yad hakodesh. Kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod irim. Adonai al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai b'koach. Kol Adonai behadai. Kol Adonai shomer arazim vayashaber Adonai el azehano vayarkidem kemo egel levanon v'Sion kemo ben remim. Ay, Kol Adonai kotel atesh. Kol Adonai yachil midbar. Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh. Kol Adonai yohei hayalot vayechesoch yeharot uvechalo kulo.
Kulo homer kavod.
Adonai lama bo yashav. Shev Adonai melech leolam. Adonai yos le'oiten. Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Ay, nay, nay, nay. Ya, la, 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 nay, la, 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 ya, la, 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 la. Nay, na, nay, ya, la, 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 nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay.
Please be seated. Ana Bakoach is on page 22.
If you would, may your mighty right hand undo the knot that ties us up. Almighty, if you would, guard as a people, get as the apple of your eye, those who seek your unity.
Ana bechoach bechoach gedulat yemincha yemincha tatit serura kaperinat amcha savenu tarenu nora Ana bechoach bechoach gedulat yemincha yemincha tatit serura kaperinat amcha sagvenu tarenu nora Ana bekoach gedulat yemincha tatit serura tatit serura kaberinat amecha rinat amecha sagvenu tzarenu nora nagibor doshe yechudcha kevavat shomrem barchem taharem rachab mem tzidkatecha tamid golem Allah bekoach gedulat yemincha tatir tzerura tatir tzerura kabel rinat amecha sagvenu tarenu nora lai 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 lai
Let us please turn to page 23 for Lechadodi.
Nai 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 Kala Pene Shabbat Nekavela Nechadodi Rakala Pene Shabbat Nekavela Shamor V'Zachor B'Dibur Echad Ishmianu Eloi Echad Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad L'Shem U'Tiferet Ve'elitila Nechadodi Rakala Pene Shabbat Nekavela Ligrat Shabbat Lechu V'Nocha Ki Mekor Avera Mirosh Miketer Nesucha Sof Ma'aseh B'Machshavat Hila Lechadodi Rakala Pene Shabbat Nekavela Mikdash Melech Melech U'Mitzir Mitorah Becharav L'Shevet V'Yemeka Bechar V'Hu Yachamol Alai Chemla Lechadodi Rakala B'nei Shabbat Nekavela Ki na'ari me'afar kumi livshi b'dei tifatecha mi'al yad ben Yishai v'halach mi'akar ba'el nafshi ge'ala lechadodi likakala b'nei Shabbat nekavela התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שדברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה וכדודי נקרא קלה פני שבה נקבלה לא תבושיע ולא תקמי מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי בככסו אני נצא יראתי לה לכדודי יקרא קלה פני שבה נקבלה והיו לשמסה שוסייך ורחקו כל ובלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהיך כי כוס חתן הכלה לכדודי נקרא קלה פני שבת מקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוצי בית אדוני תריצי על יד איש בין פרצי ונשמחה ונגידה לכדודי נקרא קלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובשולה תוך אמונה עם סגולה בואי חלב
שבת מלכתה
לכדודי נקרא קלה פני שבת נקבלה לכדודי נקרא קלה פני שבת נקבלה.
Please be seated. We continue on page 27, Mizmor Shir Le'Yom HaShabbat.
מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. טוב טוב להודות לאדוני טוב טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון טוב טוב להודות לאדוני טוב טוב להודות לאדוני טוב טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון טוב טוב להודות לאדוני להגיד בבוקר חסדך להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות ואמונתך בלילות טוב טוב להודות לאדוני להגיד בבוקר חסדך להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות ואמונתך בלילות טוב טוב להודות לאדוני טוב טוב להודות לאדוני טוב טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון טוב טוב להודות לאדוני.
Let us please turn to page 29.
Adonai Malakeu Lavesh Lavesh Adonai Ozita Zar Aftikon Tevel Baltimon Aftikon Tevel Baltimon חסדך מאז מעולם אתה. נעשהו נהרות אדוני, נעשהו נהרות עולם, יישאו נהרות אוקייה מקולות מים רבים אדירים משפרי ים. אדיר במרום אדוני, אדיר במרום אדוני. ערותיך נבנו מאוד, לביתך נא בקודש, אדוני לעורף ימים, אדוני לעורף ימים מקולות מים רבים אדירים משפרי ים. אדיר במרום אדוני, אדיר במרום אדוני.
I ask that we please rise as we heed the call to worship. The Baruch Hu is on page 39A.
Nay, nay, na, 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 nay, nay. Nay, na, 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 nay, nay. Yada, day, 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 day. Yada, day, day, yada, day. Nay, na, 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 nay, 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 na, 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 nay, nay. Na, na, nay, 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 yada, day, na, 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 nay. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Na na na. Nay na 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 nay 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 na 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 nay nay. Ya na nay 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 ya na nay na 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 nay. Nay nay na 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 nay nay. Nay la 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 nay nay. Ya na nay 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 ya na nay na 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 nay. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila. Adonai Tzevaot Shemo, Adonai Tzevaot Shemo. Il Chai v'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravi.
Let us please turn to page 40 for Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ata Torah u'mitzvot u'kiyum mishpatim otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu v'shofbeinu ufkumenu נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגד יומם ולילה. ואהבתך תסר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד.
את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם בניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. ואם שמוע תשמעו. ויאמר למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We continue together. Turn to page 44. Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha.
Nine, 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 nine. Nine, 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 Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh feleh, nora tehilot oseh feleh. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה. זה עלינו ואמרו, זה עלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Nine, 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 nine,
Ashkivenu, page 45.
Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu לשלום ועמיתנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמיתנו מלכנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמיתנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והמיתנו מלכנו לחיים.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והמיתנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והמיתנו מלכנו
ask that we please rise for Vishamru. We'll sanctify Shabbat together, page 46.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המרית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המרית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המרית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המרית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המרית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המרית עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
אמן.
ועמד דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולם מעלמיה.
יתברך
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר וירומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קדושה ברכו לילה מן כה ברכתה ושירתה
ושבחתה ונחמתה
דמירן בעלמה ואמרו Amen.
We continue praying the Amidah for Shabbat silently, beginning on page 47. you finish praying the Amidah, you may be seated. We're going to continue with Shalom Rav, page 51.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim
Leolam.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Ki Ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Shalom Rab Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rab Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam V'tov beinecha levarech Et Amcha Yisrael B'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים
לעולם.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם תשים לעולם
תשים לעולם. May the one who creates peace on high bring peace to us and to all Israel and to all who dwell on earth. And let us say, Amen.
Oh, say shalom b'mromav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'emeru amen. Oh, say shalom b'mromav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'emeru amen. Oh, say shalom b'mromav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'emeru amen. Oh, say shalom b'mromav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'emeru amen. Oh, say shalom b'mromav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'emeru amen. Oh, say shalom b'mromav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'emeru amen.
Kaddish Shalem is on page 54.
יקרא ויגרשם מרבה,
אמן.
בעלמא דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חוני בימי חוני וחי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, Le'alam ulal me'al maya.
Yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yirmam v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shemei l'kudesha b'richu le'elam min kol brakata v'shirata tushbekata v'nekamata damiran me'al ma v'imru Amen. Titka b'atzalot tahona v'utahona kol Yisrael kodama v'hona v'shamaya v'imru Amen. Yehi shalom arav min shamaya v'chaim alenu v'akol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Ose shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful to have you in the sanctuary. It's wonderful to see you in your homes via Zoom. It's wonderful to have you on Facebook. However you're joining us, I'm so happy that we're in community together. We're beginning a new year, and I'm really happy that I'm beginning it with our community. Every week, it's wonderful to see people show up for Shabbat, and it seems like there's more and more, so that's great. When I got in my car this morning, the first sign that I saw was at the intersection of Cameo and Illyrian Street. It was a bright red octagon, and it said, "Stop," so I stopped. And then moments later, at the roundabout, another sign. It said, "Yield." And then another sign, "Right turn only." And then a red light, and I waited for my sign to turn green. And then I went. Another sign for the 215, so I got on. And then I saw a sign for the Red Rock Casino. Did you see that Greg won $6,000? Mazel tov to Greg. So I saw that sign, then I exited Sahara. And I kept going, and then a sign turned on in my car. It was a little gas can that flashed bright orange. So I looked for a sign that said "Terrible Herbst," and I pulled in. I looked for a lever in my car with a sign on it that had a little gas can, which released my gas door. Then I found the sign on the gas pump that said "Regular Unleaded," that's the one I used, but the credit card machine was broken, so I had to look for the sign that said "Entrance to the building" so I could pay for my gas. I got to the door and it wouldn't open because the sign said "Pull," and I had pushed instead. I finally got inside and I told the guy how much gas I wanted to buy, and he asked me for my debit card. The sign on his desk said they only took Visa or MasterCard. So I gave him my Visa, and then he asked for a sign that I had the same name as the guy on the Visa card. So I gave him my driver's license, had to look for the exit sign of the building. I fueled my car. I looked for the sign that said Havenwood, and finally the sign that said Temple Beth Shalom. The sign at the guard station said they'd check my temperature. They did. I did not have a fever. The sign said I had to wear a mask, so I put one on. And once they checked me in, I looked for the sign that said "Entrance to the building," and I went into the room with the sign that said Assistant Rabbi's office. That's me. I entered that room and I started writing this sermon. Sign, sign, everywhere a sign, blocking out the scenery, breaking my mind. Human beings are fascinating creatures, aren't we? I can't think of another species, maybe you can, but I can't think of another species that has signs like we do. Little reminders throughout our day. Go this way. Don't go that way. It's a very primitive thing when you think about it. Have you ever saw a sign for an electrical box? One of those big things that has lots of voltage in it? Of course, it always has the word "danger" written very big on it, but because human beings were so dumb, occasionally you'll just see a skull and crossbones on it to indicate death and dying in the box. Just in case the person doesn't read, I guess, or can't read. They don't even want to look at the words "don't touch," so we have to make the whole box look like a big pirate ship with death and skulls and crossbones. Don't touch it. We have to have signs next to the gas pump nowadays that say "no smoking" on them. There's even a little cigarette with a red slash through it if we don't want to read those words. There are signs of dogs pooping with a slash through them. My neighbor has one on his lawn. Some people like to put signs on their car. "Baby on board." What are we supposed to do with baby on board? It's not like we were planning on ramming the car until we saw that sign. I saw a sign the other day, Bush Cheney, 05. That person was very proud of their political decision 16 years ago. Sometimes there are signs on the railroad tracks that say, don't enter the railroad tracks when a train is on them. Do we really need a sign that says, don't enter the... Never mind. Sometimes there are signs that say, honk if you love. What are we supposed to do with all the signs that we see? I bet if you thought about it, you too could think of dozens that you see every day. There are several signs in the Torah that we hear about. Shabbat is called a sign, Exodus 31:12, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, surely my Shabbat shall you keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations. Circumcision is also called a sign. Genesis 17:11, you shall be circumcised. It shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. Noah gets the sign of the rainbow. Genesis 9:13, I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Sign, sign, everywhere a sign. I want you to notice something interesting in all the verses that I just read. In each one of those verses, God is the speaker. And in each one of those verses, God says, this is a sign between me and you. Why does God need signs? In our Torah portion this week, Parshat Bo, we get an additional sign. The God of Israel has pummeled Egypt with plague after plague, and now we're told there's going to be one final plague, one plague to rule them all. But this plague is different, however. It comes with instructions. Of course, we know by every Passover Seder that the Jews were supposed to slaughter a lamb and put the blood on their doorpost. Then God says in verse 13, listen to this, for that night I will go through the land of Egypt and strike down every firstborn in the land, both man and beast, and I will hand out punishments to all the gods of Egypt. He continues, I am the Lord, and the blood on the houses where you are staying shall be a sign for you. When I see the blood, I will pass over you, so that no plague will destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. There is something happening here that is very interesting. God says that the blood will, quote, be a sign for you, but then says, when I see the blood, I will pass over you. So who is this sign really for? Was it for the Jews or was it for God? And I'll ask again, why does God need a sign? If we are to believe, like our tradition advocates for, that God is a divine creator who knows our innermost thoughts, our motivations, our downfalls, our passions, then why does God need a sign to remind God that we are not Egyptians? Well, I think this type of thinking needs to be reevaluated. Perhaps God didn't need a sign, but perhaps God wanted one. Many of you right now have a sign on your ring finger that is an indication that you're married. Now, I hope you don't need a sign to remind yourself that you are married and that you have a spouse. Hopefully you are capable of remembering that. But the sign on your finger that you wear, is it really a sign for you? No, it's a sign telling your spouse that you belong to them. And likewise, it's a sign for the rest of the world that you belong to your spouse. In my humble opinion, the blood on the door wasn't really for God, because God knows everything. And I think our friend Rashi agrees with me here. He says that if a firstborn Egyptian decided on that night to somehow sneak in to a Hebrew house with blood on the door, they still would have been killed. Why? Because, like I mentioned, God knows everything. The blood sign on the doorpost was a reminder to the Jews who had just witnessed plague after plague that they were supposed to dedicate themselves to God as God had dedicated himself to them. Jewish tradition has a lot of various signs as well. As I was writing this sermon, I was trying to think of different signs, and Rabbi Goodman came into my office and he reminded me that the Torah says tefillin are a sign. Likewise, tzitzit, the Torah says, are supposed to be a reminder that we keep the mitzvot. All of these are signs. They're reminders for us, yes, but ultimately they're supposed to be an indication to God that we want to be in relationship with God. Think of all of these things that I've discussed, like your wedding ring. We wear them, we do them, but really they're not a sign especially for us. They're a sign for God. Of the many signs that you will see this evening, even just on your way out of the synagogue to your car and on your way home, of the many signs you do on behalf of the people you love, I'd like to encourage you to take a moment and think about what signs you've designated recently that are just for God. They don't have to be big. They don't have to be overt. We don't have to put it on an electric billboard outside of the Red Rock Casino. Just something between the two of you. Maybe this is an informal prayer occasionally. Maybe this is having Shabbat dinner with your family. Or maybe this is wearing a kippah, tefillin, tzitzit when you feel motivated. Obviously, we are not going to slaughter a lamb and put its blood on our homes, but we are certainly capable of making our own sign. God will see the sign, but will we? Shabbat Shalom.
May I please ask us to rise? We're going to continue on page 73 with Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ani L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Let us please remain standing. I'd like to call upon Cassidy Gottesman, who's our bat mitzvah for this Shabbat, to please come up to the bima. I'd like to call on her parents, Reed and Antonia, to please come up to the bima too. And of course, her sisters, Becker and Kennedy. Come on, guys, everybody. And let us please remain standing, page 55.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pori hagafei. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah banu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinkilanu, zikaron l'maaseh bereshit, ki hu yom tekilah lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'hata, v'eltanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'yama u'ratzon, hinchaltanu, baruch atah Adonai, mikadesh Shabbat Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Cassidy, we have something for you. On behalf of our congregation, of the whole temple, our board, our clergy, I want to present you with a certificate that says that a tree has been planted in your honor in Israel on occasion of becoming a bat mitzvah. So hopefully one of these days, soon, your parents will take you to Israel and you'll get to see this tree with your own eyes. And may you grow to be as tall and as proud and strong. I'm sure you will have no problem being strong, as this tree will be. Mazel tov to you, and we're very excited about tomorrow. We cannot wait for you to lead us in prayer and read the Torah and everything you're doing tomorrow. Mazel tov to you and your family. Mazel tov. Yeah, don't worry, we just broke the rules. We just shook hands, but it's okay. If something happens to me, I know where it came from. Let us please remain standing for Aleinu, page 66.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כיהי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו ככם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שינו את השמיים ויוסד הארץ.
שינו את השמיים ויוסד הארץ ומשה וקדוש.
אוקיי, נקבל לכם. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
Let us please be seated. The following is a list of names of people whom we've lost in recent years, and not so recent years, but we're observing their yard sites next week at Temple Bat Shalom. We remember them with love. Albert Barsky, Robert Bell, Francis Bell, David Bliss, Karen Bloomfield, Lillian Bloomberg, Dennis Cooper, Ben Engel, Anatoly Friedman, Jack Friedman, Sylvia Gersten, Marlene Eisenberg, Elizabeth Kahn, Goldie Kornfeld, Dora Levine, Bess Malin, Albert Miller, Maurice Neiman, Mac Rosenstein, Lisa Roxer, Alexander Salton, Barry Salzman, Lena Schneider, Alan Stearns, Norma Wilensky, Max Viviot. We're also serving Shloshim for Bonnie Rogers and Elaine Jacobs. Mourners and those serving Yortzeit, please rise for the Mourners Kaddish, page 58.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קירותי ועמליק מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Let us please be seated. I'd like to call upon Bill Mason, Vice President of our congregation, for the announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi Goodman, Rabbi Hodson, DJ. Great night tonight. Welcome to everybody, virtually and in person, to the Friday night service. Shabbat Shalom. wonderful to see everybody here tonight. Please join us tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock when Cassidy will be called to the Torah. Congratulations. Sunday, March 7th, enjoy the Temple Beth Shalom Sunday Fun Day Comedy Night featuring headliner Jessica Curson with our special guest John Fish, hosted by Eric Newman. Ticket information for this TBS fundraiser or fundraiser can be found at the TBS website. It's a virtual comedy night. It's going to be great. USY will be hosting a drive-through Purim Carnival on February 21st. The Megillah reading will be on Friday, February 25th at 6:30 p.m. And I don't know, is it going to be, it's not going to be as wild as years past, but it should still be good. It's also Friday. I think it's Thursday. Thursday? Okay, Thursday. Friday, February 7th at 10 a.m., Women's League will hold their annual Torah Fund event honoring Genevieve and Rabbi Hodson. Please contact Melanie Greenberg for more information. Our adult education offerings for the coming week will be the Radical Torah on Monday at noon with Rabbi Goodman. Intro to Judaism will meet in person on Thursday, 7 p.m. The Intro to Judaism class is taught by Rabbi Hodson. Again, Mazel Tov to Cassidy and her family. And if you know a temple member who's in the hospital, ill, or at home, or in a nursing home, please contact us and let us know. Thank you very much.
You know, I wish we could have Purim as wild as last year, you know, like, or the previous years, but I don't know. Drinking alone at home is not as much fun.
It's not healthy, Rabbi.
What?
That's a bad sign. That's like that's one of the gateway things. You know, you can't drink alone at home. That was pre-COVID. Post-COVID, you never know.
Okay. Look, it's actually like almost like Purim already, so good.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. We're gonna go. I really walked right into that one, right?
You did.
Okay. We're gonna conclude our service with Elon Olam on page 211.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Ve'nasa Ve'hefso Kol Zay Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharet Kitlot HaKol Levado Yimlok Nora Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu Hove Ve'hu Yeh B'tifara Ve'hu Echad Ve'yein Sheni Ve'chamshim Lo Le'akbir Beli Reishit, Beli Tachlit, Belo Ha'oz Ve'ha'mizra, Behu Eli, V'chai Go'ali, V'tzor Hevli V'tzara, Behu Nisi U'manosli, V'nakosi Be'yom Ekra, Be'ado Kibruchi, V'yeti Shan Ve'aira, Ve'imruchi Gaviati, Adonai Li V'lo Ira.
Let us at this time come together. If you are standing next to a person that you can actually embrace, that'll be great. If not, we'll do it across the distance with our hearts and our souls, across space and across time zones. Let us all come together for a beautiful blessing of light and peace of Shabbat.
Nai, 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 ya nai, 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 ya nai, 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 nai. Nai, 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 Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha, Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha V'yasem lecha shalom.
Adonai Yos lemoiten, Adonai Yavarech et Amo Shalom, Shabbat Shalom Mevorach, Mazal tov to the Gottesmans. See you tomorrow morning at 9.
Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam, salam and shalom. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam, salam and shalom. Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu, Odivo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam.